Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. You're not going to believe what we've got today. We're talking about the most expensive, ultra-rare British coins worth shocking amounts of money. From King George V to King George VI, these little pieces of history could make you a fortune. Get ready to be blown away, because some of these coins are worth up to $10,000. Let's dive in. Alright, let's kick things off with one of the most sought-after pennies from the UK, the 1949 one-penny coin featuring King George VI. At first glance, this coin may seem like just another penny, but there's a fascinating story behind it that makes it worth a jaw-dropping $7,000 today. This isn't just a random penny, it's a rare piece of British numismatic history, and if you're lucky enough to own one in pristine condition, you might be sitting on a small fortune. So, what makes this coin so special? Well, let's dive into its history. The 1949 one penny was minted during the reign of King George VI, a period of significant historical importance in Britain. The Royal Mint produced these pennies in relatively limited quantities, and as time passed, most of them were either worn out in circulation or damaged in some way. That's one of the key factors that contribute to its rarity today. The 1949 one penny is rare mainly because the Royal Mint produced fewer of them compared to other years. The reason for this is that, after 1949, the Mint made the decision to switch the design of the penny, leaving the 1949 version as one of the last of its kind. This transition makes the coin not just a collector's item but a symbol of a change in British coinage, adding a layer of historical significance. So, why does this particular penny stand out? The real value lies in its low mintage and the fact that a large number of the 1949 pennies were either used up in circulation or damaged over time. You see, during the mid-20th century, coins didn't get the same care and attention that collectors give them today. Most people simply used them as regular currency, meaning that finding one in good condition is exceptionally rare. If you were to find a 1949 one-penny coin that's been well preserved over the years, you could be holding a coin that's worth anywhere between $5,000 to $7,000, sometimes even more, depending on its condition. A coin that is graded in excellent or mint condition will command top dollar from collectors looking to add a rare piece to their collection. Coin grading is critical when it comes to determining its value. A coin's grade depends on its overall appearance, how well the design has been preserved, the clarity of the details, and the absence of damage like scratches, dents, or discoloration. Coins in higher grades, like MS-65 or above, are particularly valuable. For example, a 1949 penny with a grade of MS-65 could easily fetch $7,000, or even more in a competitive auction. In terms of design, the 1949 one penny features a beautiful image of Britannia seated, holding a trident and shield, symbolizing Britain's naval strength and legacy. The reverse side also includes the year 1949 and the one penny inscription, while the obverse proudly displays a portrait of King George VI, who ruled from 1936 to 1952. The design itself is simple yet meaningful, reflecting Britain's strength and resilience. But it's not just the coin's design that makes it stand out, it's the story behind the transition in the mint's practices. After 1949, the British penny underwent a redesign that marked the end of the era for this specific style. So, these pennies are not just rare, they're a snapshot of a changing era in British coinage. To give you an idea of how rare the 1949 penny is, the Royal Mint produced far fewer coins that year compared to other periods. Many of the 1949 pennies were used heavily in circulation, which means finding one that hasn't been worn down or damaged is a huge find. Even in lesser condition, collectors are often willing to pay a premium for these coins because of their historical context and scarcity. So, if you have a 1949 one-penny coin tucked away in your collection, or perhaps even in your change jar, it's worth taking a closer look. With its historical importance, low mintage, and the fact that well-preserved examples can sell for thousands, it's definitely a coin you don't want to overlook. Now, keep in mind, condition is everything when it comes to value. Even though the 1949 penny is rare, the ones that are most valuable are the ones in pristine condition, so if you've got one, make sure to protect it. In the next section, we'll dive into another penny that holds a similarly shocking value. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Pretty crazy, right? Well, hold on tight, because we've got another kingly coin that's just as fascinating, the 1946 one-penny coin, also from the reign of King George VI. At first glance, this might seem like just another penny, but let me tell you, this coin has a story that's far from ordinary. After World War II, Britain was in full recovery mode. The country was trying to rebuild after years of hardship, and its economy was just starting to get back on track. To keep up with demand, the Royal Mint had to ramp up production. But here's the kicker: when you rush production, mistakes happen. And that's where the value of the 1946 one-penny coin comes in. Because of the post-war recovery, these pennies were minted in a more hurried manner, which led to various minting errors. These errors, whether it was misprints or slight design flaws, make the 1946 one-penny incredibly desirable to collectors. In fact, these mistakes are the main reason the coin has such high value today. The 1946 one-penny coin holds great historical significance, primarily because it was minted during a critical time in British history, right after the war. But what makes it even more interesting is the fact that many of these coins have errors. Some of them have misprints in the inscriptions, and others have small flaws in the design. These minting errors are highly collectible, especially because they are so rare. For example, a 1946 penny with misaligned engravings can be worth as much as $5,000, particularly in uncirculated condition. So, if you happen to come across a 1946 penny that looks a little off or has a small flaw in its design, don't just toss it aside. It might actually be worth a lot more than you think. Now, it's important to remember that the value of this coin is directly tied to its condition. Most of the 1946 pennies that were minted were circulated heavily, which means they're often worn down and damaged over time. But finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially with one of those minting errors, could mean big money for you. Grading is key when it comes to determining the value of a coin like this. Coins in perfect condition, with clear, sharp designs, are more valuable than those that have been worn down. A coin in excellent condition with a unique minting error can fetch thousands of dollars. And it's not just the error that makes the 1946 one-penny coin valuable, it's also the historical context. The coin was minted during the immediate post-war period, when Britain was just beginning to recover. The 1946 penny is a symbol of the country's resilience, and that adds to its appeal among collectors. So, if you find a 1946 penny with a design flaw, or even one that looks like it's in perfect shape, you might want to get it checked out. It could be worth up to $5,000. Pretty incredible for such a small coin, right? Alright, let's go a bit further back in time to 1939, with a one-penny coin from the reign of King George VI. Now, this coin is even rarer than the others we've talked about. It's worth a jaw-dropping $10,000 in top condition. But what makes this coin so special? Before World War II fully broke out, the Royal Mint had a limited run of pennies in 1939. These coins were actually minted just before the war started, in anticipation of the conflict. But once the war began, production shifted to meet wartime demands, which meant that only a small number of these 1939 pennies were ever produced. As a result, they are incredibly rare, and even rarer still are the ones that survived the war in good condition. Once the war hit, a lot of these pennies were used in daily transactions, often getting heavily worn out in circulation. So, finding one of these coins in excellent condition is extremely difficult. The low mintage and the heavy wear on most of the coins over the years contribute to the fact that a 1939 one-penny coin can easily fetch up to $10,000, depending on its condition. So, how did these pennies come to be? Well, 1939 was a critical year in British history. Just before World War II erupted, the UK was still preparing for the possibility of war, and the Royal Mint produced these pennies to meet the ongoing demands for currency. But as soon as the war began, the country shifted its focus to producing military necessities, and civilian coinage production slowed significantly. This is why the 1939 pennies are so rare. Not only were fewer coins minted that year, but the ones that did get into circulation were worn down quickly. Coins back then weren't kept as collectibles like they are today. People spent them, and many got damaged during the war years, either through use or harsh conditions. That means that finding a 1939 penny in great condition is truly a lucky discovery. Because of this, most 1939 pennies are found in poor condition, and a well-preserved specimen stands out like a diamond in the rough. If you happen to find one of these coins that's still in mint condition, you could be holding a rare treasure worth up to $10,000. It's no wonder that collectors are always on the lookout for this particular coin. The design of the 1939 one-penny coin is classic. On the obverse, you'll find the portrait of King George VI, who reigned from 1936 until his death in 1952. On the reverse side, Britannia is seated, holding her trident and shield, just like in the other pennies from this era. But what truly makes this coin remarkable is not just its design, it's the rare history behind it and the scarcity of well-preserved examples. War had a direct impact on the minting of coins. When wartime production took priority, coins like the 1939 one-penny became relics of an earlier time. Most of the surviving examples were used throughout the war, resulting in a lot of wear and tear. Next, let's go back even further, all the way to 1929, during the reign of King George V. This coin is another one that could seriously boost your collection. It's a penny worth a jaw-dropping $9,000, and its value is attributed to a few key factors. First off, the coin was minted during a period of economic uncertainty, a time when the British Empire was in decline and the global economy was undergoing massive shifts. But what makes this particular penny so valuable today? 1929 was a year of economic turbulence. The world was on the brink of the Great Depression, and the British Empire, which had once been at the height of its power, was beginning to show signs of strain. The United Kingdom was dealing with its own set of economic challenges, including the decline of its global influence and the effects of the First World War. The minting of pennies during this period slowed, which contributes to their rarity. Aside from the economic context, the design of the 1929 one-penny coin also adds to its appeal. The reverse of the coin features the classic image of Britannia, sitting on a rock, holding a trident and shield. But it's the uniqueness of the design from this specific year that makes it so desirable. You see, over time, the Royal Mint would alter and update designs, so each year's coin can reflect subtle changes, making older ones like the 1929 penny stand out. So, it's not just about the year, it's the combination of factors that make this coin so valuable. The design, the rarity, and the historical context all come together to increase its worth. Pennies minted in 1929 were produced during a period of economic decline, which meant fewer were made. And because of the changing designs in subsequent years, this particular version is highly sought after. Fewer pennies were minted in 1929 compared to other years, which makes it even more of a collector's dream. The coin is a direct link to a time when Britain was facing significant challenges, and that makes it particularly desirable to collectors who value both history and rarity. And that's not all. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value. A 1929 penny in uncirculated or near-perfect condition can fetch as much as $9,000, which is a huge amount for such a small coin. These pennies weren't stored in perfect condition because they were in circulation during a time of economic uncertainty. So, if you have one that has survived in excellent shape, it's truly a rare find. The obverse of the 1929 penny features the portrait of King George V, who reigned from 1910 to 1936. But it's really the reverse design, with Britannia and her trident, that collectors look for. The combination of historical significance, rarity, and the design elements from that particular year make the 1929 one-penny coin a true gem. So if you ever come across a 1929 penny, don't just let it slip through your fingers. It could very well be worth a small fortune depending on its condition and rarity. And finally, we've got the 1916 one-penny coin from the era of World War I. This is a particularly interesting one because it was minted right in the middle of the Great War. Many of these coins didn't survive in good condition due to the difficult times, but if you happen to have one in good shape, you're looking at a coin worth around $5,000. So what makes this coin so special? During World War I, the British government was understandably focused on the war effort. This meant that resources were diverted away from civilian needs, including the production of currency. As a result, only a limited number of 1916 pennies were minted. The Royal Mint was already struggling with wartime demands, and most of these coins were used in circulation throughout the war. Coins produced during this time were not stored in pristine condition, as many were put into active circulation. People were using these pennies for everyday purchases, and with the strain of war, coins would naturally wear down more quickly. By the end of the war, most of these coins were heavily worn or damaged, which makes finding one in good condition incredibly rare and valuable. The 1916 one-penny coin features the classic design of King George V on the obverse, which was used on British coins for much of his reign. On the reverse, you see the traditional image of Britannia, seated and holding her trident and shield, which was a design used on pennies from that era. The design is simple but elegant, which is why this penny has remained so iconic. Because of the limited number of 1916 pennies produced, and the fact that so many were worn down during the war, these coins are now highly coveted by collectors. A coin in excellent condition, with sharp details and minimal wear, can fetch as much as $5,000 today. That's a pretty amazing value for a coin that originally only had a penny's worth of buying power. So, much like the other coins we've covered today, the value of the 1916 one-penny coin comes from its rarity, its historical context, and its condition. The scarcity of these coins, combined with the significance of their production during World War I, makes them an important part of British numismatic history. And when you factor in the wear and tear caused by the war, finding one in good shape becomes a true rarity. The historical importance of the 1916 one-penny coin can't be understated. It was produced during one of the most difficult and tumultuous times in British history, and its design reflects the enduring symbol of Britannia, representing the British Empire's strength and resilience during the war. So, if you come across a 1916 penny, take a moment to really inspect it. If it's in good condition, it could be worth far more than its original value. At $5,000, this coin is a true piece of history, and a fantastic find for any collector. So, there you have it. These are the top 5 most expensive and ultra-rare British coins that are worth big money today. If you ever find any of these in your pocket change or in a box of old coins, you might just have a small fortune on your hands. Thanks for watching, and make sure to hit that like button if you found this video interesting. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more awesome content on rare coins and collectibles. Until next time, keep on collecting, and I'll see you in the next video.